This emergency ban list made rogue decks really freaking good. What's going on, guys? Welcome to this episode of Head-to-Head Battles. In today's episode, we're gonna talk about the emergency ban list implications, as well as the top 5 decks of the format. Also, if you get any value out of this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and comment down below if you agree or disagree with my card choices and or these decks, all right? So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, boys, real quick, these are skeleton deck profiles. These are not the end-all, be-all, like you must play it this way. You can play it however you want. So I'm gonna give you the sauce, and then you add in the condiments yourself, right? So without further ado, let's get into the first deck. The first deck that I do want to talk about today is Madolche's. Now, this deck is really freaking good with the insertion of Mudora, Keldo, and the Vernisolive cards. Now, Shifter is really powerful in this deck because you can go full combo with this deck. I'm talking full combo without ever using the Shifter, but you hold the Shifter. Do you know why? Because the Mudora can shuffle back your entire graveyard so that on your opponent's turn, you can Shifter. Because if you read the Vernisolive cards, they read that you cannot activate non-earth monster effects for the rest of the turn if you activate any of the Vernisolive cards. What does that mean? If you use a Vernisolive card to make a quick Dweller or try to go into your Madolche combo, you cannot Shifter, or Dweller for that matter. Now, the really good thing is you can go full combo, and usually the Madolche full combo only leaves you with about 1 to 2 cards in your graveyard because Chateau will shuffle most of them back. So, Mudora's gonna shuffle back all your Vernisolive cards, and you have a free Shifter in your hand, plus a Macro Cosmos that you can use, plus the Dweller that you made, and if you left like a Mudora or a Keldo on the field, you can go through those too. And the really cool thing about Madolche's is that Tiramisu is probably one of the most broken cards in the game. This card reads, once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, target up to 2 Madolche cards in your graveyard, which you will have because you have Glass Souffle, and you only need 1, because to detach, you only need 1 in the graveyard, which means that, you know, you can shuffle back the one that you detach off to this and the one you had in the graveyard, assuming that you didn't macro or Shifter really early, but Queen Tiramisu is still really powerful. It will non-targeting shuffle cards back into your opponent's deck. And the cool thing about this card is it's not a hard once per turn effect, it is a soft once per turn, which means if you summon 2 Tiramisus, you can use both of their effects, which is really powerful because it kind of clears your entire opponent's board. Now, the really cool thing about this deck is you can make the Dweller really fast, and you don't even need to use the Vernisolive cards to get there, which means that you can make a Dweller, use Dweller effect, and then go into your Madolche combo line thereafter, because if your opponent has Hofness and they end up Hofnessing you, maybe even in chain to the Dweller, they can't get that much recursion or build that much of a board to kind of insta-crack your board on the follow-up. So I really do think that Madolche's will be taking a top-tier spot, not even as a rogue contender, but just as a meta deck as well. Now, in the side deck, we are playing Anti-Spell Fragrance, Goes and Match, Evenly Matched, Lightning Storm, and 3 Bestials. Now, we're playing the 3 Bestials to basically act as pseudo hand traps and as bodies for, bodies moving into turn 2, which is really nice because if you do Shifter your opponent turn 0, your opponent is not going to play. But if you don't open Shifter, but you have some Bestials in your hand, then you're in a really good spot. All right, so let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this deck, and let's move on to deck number 2, Exosisters. Now, this deck is absolutely goated. They don't have a field spell like an in-archetype field spell, but now they do because apparently Konami hates field spells but loves them at the same time. All right, so we have Necro Valley. So let's read the pertinent effect. Okay, negate any card effect that would move a card in the graveyard to a different place. That's basically all you need to know. And on top of that, we can now play Triple Dimensional Fissure, Triple Metaverse. This is insanely powerful. This deck is most of the time a 1-card starter if you see like Exosister packs or the Martha. And on top of that, this deck can play Shifter. Now, Shifter and Crow don't really work because Crow becomes a dead card if you Shifter your opponent because they don't have any cards in the graveyard, but it's okay. Holding a Shifter is pretty freaking good, and it really helps you to kind of have the extra layer of clapback if you need it. Now, one of your best cards in this deck is Exosister Asophiel. This card reads, it cannot be destroyed by the activated effects of monsters special summoned from the graveyard, but that's not really the pertinent effect. Its best effect is neither player can activate card effects in the graveyard this turn. It's basically a Dweller. It's actually almost better than a Dweller because it happens immediately on summon, which is really nice because you can chain block it. Albeit it can still get impermed or whatever, but regardless, you do have multiple layers of interaction with this deck. Not only can you make the Dweller, not only can you make a Baguska, but you have extremely powerful in archetype rank 4s like a Sophiel and Michaelis, which can banish cards and search you packs and search you anything else that you may need. You also have Castapel, which generally you will make first to search you a Martha if you don't have it, because then you have a Castapel that search you the Martha, and then you can make the Michaelis with the Martha because it'll summon out 2 4s, and Michaelis can grab you a trap card that you may not have. And then you can make Magnifica, which is insane because it is a banish, and then it can tag out for a Michaelis and be another banish. So it's insanely, insanely powerful. And the fact that you can play Dimensional Fissure and Necro Valley, although it might be a little bit overkill because these cards do sort of conflict with each other, but any combination of like 12 cards will get you there. Okay, now if you look in our side deck, we are playing 3 Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, as well as the 1 Kikalos. Most tier players only play 1 Kikalos anyway, so if you Winter Cherries or Kikalos out, they severely lose card advantage. And the really cool thing about Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries is that it reads quick effect. You can discard this card, not send it to the graveyard, not it has to go to the graveyard. It has nothing to do with the graveyard, right? You just discard the card, you get rid of their Kikalos, and you're in a really, really good spot. Also, we are playing triple Macrocosmos in the side in conjunction with Dimensional Fissure, so when we do end up going first, we have that many more options to kind of stop that tier limit matchup, because realistically, tier limits didn't get hit on the ban list whatsoever. Herald to 1 literally does nothing. If they really wanted to hit that deck, it would have to be like Hovness to 1, Merly to 1, Paralino, the field spell to 1. Herald to 1 literally does nothing except like make it harder for them to like discard the Medora or the Keldo along with it. But again, comment down below what you think about this deck, and let's move on to the next one. A lot of you have been asking, Susu, where is the new Gren Maju deck? And you know what? I want to save it for a standalone video, but I had to put it out there ASAP. Now, this is the Gren Maju deck for the new format. You're gonna see a couple of cards that you've never seen me play ever. One of the newer cards being Owner's Seal. This card is really interesting. It reads, return control of all monsters on the field to their owners. So if you don't have a level 8 extender to go into, you can activate Owner Seal, get back a Kaiju, which are generally level 8s, or even the Lava Golem, which is a level 8, and then, you'll clear their board with the Kaiju and the Lava Golem, or rather, or the Lava Golem, get it all back, and pretty much just OTK your opponent. A couple more differences that we are playing is we are putting back the Twin Twisters back in the deck, simply because if we discard a Danger Thunderbird or a Danger Bigfoot, you get more pluses off of them. And realistically, back row does hurt a lot, because if your opponent does have Crime or Sulliek, 1, you can bait out the Crime, and 2, if they have Sulliek, yes, they can add off the Sulliek when it gets destroyed, but now they can't negate your Gren Maju or your number 100 Numeron Dragon, okay? Next, a brand new inclusion is Super Polymerization. This card is really good because 1, we can go into the Garura, which will draw us a card, and nothing is more important in this deck than drawing as many cards as possible. Or we can make a Predaplant Dracostapelia, which is a level 8 with a negate that you can use to go into a rank 8. It's kind of nice, actually. And finally, we do have the Mud Dragon in the Swamp, but you really don't want to go into this one. It's Garura, or Dragostapelia. Another new inclusion is, am I saying that right? Is the Zombie Vampire, which is really, really nice. And then we have some other cards. I mean, realistically, this card is really expensive. You generally don't need it. I don't ever see myself going into it, but it's nice to have because it's a secret rare and it looks really nice in your deck. Also, we do have a Penta Stag just in case our opponent catches wind of what we are playing and decides defense is the way to go. It definitely won't be the way to go, okay? Next, we are playing the 1 BLS, which is really nice because most of the time, even against most rogue matchups, they can't out this card, which is really, really nice, okay? Now, for the special spice, our side deck, we are playing triple Summon Limit, triple Macrocosmos, triple Anti-Spell, triple D-Barrier, and triple Dimensional Fissure. This is what you would call a a smoke screen side deck, which means we have 15 go second cards in our deck, right? That's all the kaijus, the slumbers, the twin twisters. We really don't need any of that stuff. So you would take out all of that and then put in 15 cards into your main deck and go first. Your opponent is going to want to make you go first, okay? No one is going to, in their right mind, get clapped game 1 by, going first and then want to go first again and lose 2-0. They're going to be like, ha, you go first because I know your deck. But little do they know, they have no idea what we're playing, all right? Speaking of, let's move on to the next deck. The next deck that I do want to talk about is being goated as the greatest rogue deck of this time. Not all time, of this time. It's freaking Floowandereeze, okay? Now, this deck I haven't been able to tinker with too much, but the fact that this deck got that much more powerful and they weren't playing Mystic Mine to begin with is kind of nuts, right? Because the deck didn't get really hit at all. I mean, it just got infinitely better. Now, this deck is known to brig. That's why we are playing 6 pot cards, triple prosperity and triple duality, allowing us to dig. Let's see, 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 3 is 14 freaking cards. Okay, that's a lot of digging. Okay, you're like an archaeologist, just digging for the good cards. Now, some of the main inclusion, I keep saying, is it inclusion? Let me know in the comment section down below. I don't think I'm saying that right. We are playing triple evenly matched instead of Dark Rule no more. Now, the reason we are doing that is because even if you Dark Ruler your opponent, they can still play on your turn, which is something that you don't want. And realistically, you don't really want a battle phase going second anyways, because you kind of want to set up your board and watch your opponent suffer through the following turns. Hence why we're playing evenly matched. It's much better than Lightning Storm or Twin Twister or any other form of destruction, simply because your tier limit opponent will be plussing off those exchanges. So we are playing triple Dimensional Fissure and triple Macrocosmos in the main because it gives us 9 cards to just immediately have our opponent have an answer or scoop, right? So we are playing one of each level, like 7 or higher of the big ones. Most of the time, a lot of people like to play double M-Pen or double Ryza, but in my opinion, this deck already bricks insanely hard. I don't really feel the need to be playing multiple of these, just because we do have Talkin and Stree to recycle that M-Pen over and over again. Yes, it is another layer of interaction that you must go through instead of simply summoning the Eaglin and searching the M-Pen, but I think the trade-off of not bricking is still pretty freaking good. But let me know in the comment section down below how you're building your Flu deck, and let's move on to the last deck. Kashtira post Photon Hypernova. Now, let me be honest with you. I haven't been tinkering with this deck all that much, and this deck that you see on the screen right now is not the end-all be-all. I'm gonna PSA one more time. These are skeleton profiles, meaning you put your own sauce on them. I'm just giving you the meat, okay? Let's go into it. Now, this deck is also really good because, same thing with the Flu deck, you have triple Shifter, triple Fissure, and triple Macrocosmos. On top of that, this Arise Heart, which basically reads like a custom card, is insanely powerful. Let's read this card together. It says, once per turn, if a Shangri-La activated its effect this turn, you can also Xe summon a Rise Heart by using a Kashtira monster you control. Insanely nice. Now, once per chain, not once per turn, not once per chain, each time a card is banished, attach 1 banished card to this card as material. And then, once per turn, quick effect again, you can detach 3 materials from this card, then target 1 card on the field and banish it face down. Now, this card works really well in conjunction with Shangri-La because this card also reads like a custom card. Now, during each standby phase, you can special summon 1 Kashtira monster from your deck. You can only use the previous effect of Shangri-La once per turn. Each time a card your opponent owns and possesses is banished face down, you can choose 1 unused main monster zone or spell and trap zone. It cannot be used while this monster is face up on the field. Even Mystic Mine couldn't out this, okay? This is basically, you're basically playing Ojamas in 2022, but way better, okay? Now, this card is really good because if you do end up going full combo, or even if you go half combo, you're still locking out about 3 zones minimum, and maximum about 8, I think, or 8 or more. What makes this deck also really good is you get to play cards like Diabolus, the Mind Hacker, and Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. I think post Hypernova, Photon Hypernova, Kashtira or Kashtira is going to be a real contender and will start taking, the places of Flu and Exosisters and some of these other decks. Now, this deck is really powerful because all the Kashtira or Kashtira monsters are free special summons. They're basically Pank that don't pop, but they search instead, and they're not, and like the summon is not once per turn. So going second, I think it's insanely powerful. You can realistically cut the Macrocosmos if you do want to play kind of like a hard go second build, but I do think this deck is going to be insanely freaking powerful. All right, boys, that's gonna be it for me today. If this video gave you any value at all, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment down below what you think about my card choices or my deck choices, and just, you know, let's have a conversation about the ban list down below. All right, anyways, I've taken away too much of your time already, guys. I freaking love you so freaking much. My name is ISHIZU from HeadtoHead Battles, signing out.
What's up, guys? If you haven't subscribed, make sure to click that button right there in the middle.
Also, if you haven't watched that video that YouTube is recommending you, it's probably crazy, all right? Go watch it. This is ISHIZU from HeadtoHead Battles,
HeadtoHead Battles,
signing out.